All right, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 26th of February, 2025. Flyers Daily presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. How about the Flyers and the Penguins? First of a home and home last night at Wells Fargo Center. It'll be Thursday night in Pittsburgh at PPG Paints Arena. Flyers, though, get the win. They open the home and home with the win. Of course, they played the Penguins just before the Four Nations break. Got a win there. 3 of their 4 games are against the Pens. They had the one game on Saturday, the 6-3 win over Edmonton. Other than that, it's been Penguins, and it'll be Penguins on Thursday. And the Flyers will be hoping for a similar result, a 6-1 win over the Penguins. I talked about on yesterday's episode when we previewed the game how similar the numbers are and the breakdown of the Flyers and the Penguins this year. They were the 7th and 8th place team in the Metropolitan Division. You look at where they were: save percentage, goals for, goals against, just all the numbers, the leading scorers. Crosby had 60 points, Konechny had 62 coming into the game, and how they resembled each other, but they didn't resemble each other last night on the ice. I'll tell you that right now. The Flyers outshoot the Penguins 38-23 in the game, and they come away with this 6-1 win. They get the opening goal of the game pretty early on, 3:56 in, from what we would deem as an unlikely source. How about Rasmus Ristolainen, the one-time clapper, is able to beat Alex Nedeljkovic 5-hole on the cross-ice pass from Yegor Zamula. Mishkov also picks up the assist. So Ristolainen gets the goal to open the scoring, his 4th of the season. And he also made a really good play in that first period, preventing a goal on a puck that got behind Sam Ersson. So Ristolainen getting it done at both ends of the ice. Had some big hits in the first period as well. Well, he's playing the best hockey of his career. It's not even close. I know he's not putting up the point totals that he put up over a 4-year stretch where he had 4 years over 40 points in Buffalo. He was a net negative player then, though. He's been really good for the Flyers. It's going to be a really interesting time over the next 10 days up to the trade deadline to see if he remains here. He will be a commodity on the market for sure. A right-handed, big, bruising defenseman that will pay dividends in a cumulative way in a 7-game series. We've always heard it. Ristolainen would be a guy that opponents would hate in a 7-game best-of-7 playoff series. Problem is he's never been in the playoffs, so he will be looked at. But he opens the scoring. Flyers go up 1-0 at 12:19 of the first period. The first goal of the night for Noah Cates. I thought Letang defended the play incredibly poorly. But it starts in the Flyers zone on a puck that Nick Seeler is going back on. This is why I always say it's really important for there to be consistency and partner with the defenseman, because you don't have time to look up and have to see where your partner is or where your relief is. You have to just know it because the game happens too fast. He goes down on a puck behind the Flyers net with a forechecker right on him and makes a really good just backhand play to his partner on the other side of the ice, flips the weak side of the ice. They get the breakout. They go up through the neutral zone. Then Jacob Peltier, who picks up his first career point as a Flyer, has the puck just outside the Pittsburgh blue line and shields it really well back to the Pittsburgh net, and then just kind of chips it off for Bobby Brink coming in stride, who delivers it to Noah Cates. He's kind of in a one-on-one versus Chris Letang. Letang, first of all, didn't even try and get a stick in there on it. And when Noah Cates went to shoot the puck, he kind of shirked, please don't hit me. That's not the kind of hockey that Mike Sullivan is looking to coach. Mike Sullivan, very much like John Tortorella, you got to sacrifice. You got to get your body and your stick on shots and pucks. And he just shied away from it. That was really telling to me. He looks like a guy that can't wait to get to the offseason. But Cates goes bar down, high blocker, short side, and gets the goal, his 11th of the season. Flyers go to the break up 2-0. Then 6:09 into the second, Pens get on the board. Philip Tomasino is able to beat Sam Ersson, his 8th of the season. Letang and Bunting with the assist. Now it's 2-1 game. Next goal, obviously hugely important, and it comes from the Flyers at 11:55. And this is where the Cates-Forster-Brink line took over the game. First of all, really good play in the neutral zone by Jamie Drysdale to get the turnover and force the play back in transition, playing fast the other way. And he ends up, after he misses a shot wide, ends up getting a pass from Bobby Brink in the zone and makes a really good pass to Tyson Forster for the one-timer. And again, they get Nedeljkovic moving side to side. They open him up, and Forster's able to beat him to the short side. Flyers go up 3-1 in the game on Forster, Drysdale, and Brink with the assist. Then at 18:55, exactly 7 minutes later, Noah Cates picks up his second of the game. This time he's down around the blue paint. He and Brink are both down there and gets a really good pass from Brink. It touches Brink. The pass comes in from Forster, and Cates ends up poking at home, passing to Nedeljkovic, his second of the. By the way, he was on a 13-game goal drought heading into this one. So now he's got 2, his 11th and 12th of the season. And just 10 seconds later, Penguins, we've seen this happen to the Flyers. They give up a goal, and then, boom, they end up giving up another one right away because they're not ready off that draw. Penguins, puck drops. They didn't look like they were even ready to play. This is late in the period. They're now down 4-1. Flyers go down 10 seconds later at 19:05, and Brink gets the pass from Noah Cates and pots it home. Darton backdoor, far post. Forster picks up an assist. Now the Flyers up 5-1. That's got to drive Mike Sullivan crazy. His team looks like they have no desire to play the remainder of this season. They're one of the teams we talked about going into the Four Nations break. Some teams are going to come out of Four Nations and they're going to be just mail it in. It's over. There's going to be teams that come out and fight and play hard. Flyers have done that so far. They've beaten Edmonton 6-3, and now they beat the Penguins 6-1. Penguins, since they got out of Four Nations, have given up 19 goals in 3 games. All to the division teams. An 8 spot, a 6 spot, and a 5 spot. That's really concerning for them. Not for me, but for them. And they've given up 6 goals or more in a game 15 times this season. Oh, my. Owen Tippett rounds out the scoring in the third period to make it 6-1 at 6:06. He picks up the assist from the goal, and on an assist from Sean Couturier and Matvei Michkov, who picks up his second point of the game. And it was a rout. It was on. Felt like the Penguins maybe could have been back in the game after the Tomasino goal, but Flyers just shut them down, protected the middle of the aisle. I'll show the heat map of the scoring chances right now, courtesy of Money Puck. The Penguins there's some yellow around the Flyers net. It didn't even look that threatening, frankly, watching the game on the eye test. And then you look at the offensive zone for the Flyers, and it looks like somebody dumped 2 55-gallon drums of orange paint around the net. They just attacked the blue paint all night. They got Nedeljkovic moving side to side. They scored in transition, and they scored with traffic in front of the net in multiple different ways. Really good performance from the Flyers. And the juxtaposition, we talked about the similarities in yesterday's episode. The juxtaposition in this game is you have one team in the Penguins who looks like it's done. It's over. Move on. Their season's over. And they don't have much desire to compete. The coach can't get through to them. They've lost the message, which is surprising on a team led by Sidney Crosby. Very surprising. And some other veteran players with a lot of pride like Malkin and Letang, who I thought looked pathetic on that goal, the first goal from Noah Cates. And you look at the Flyers, a team that obviously the message from the coach is still resonating with its players. They've played their ass off in the last 2 games. They got McDavid to a -3 and no points. The Cates line wasn't responsible for shutting down that line on Saturday. And then the Cates line comes out in this game and with Forster and Brink, and they're the catalyst offensively. And the Flyers' balance in their lines looks really good right now. Michkov looks really good right now. Tippett's playing well. Couturier's playing well. Boy, 2 teams look like they're heading in totally different directions, and the Flyers are well into their rebuild. Pittsburgh may claim they're rebuilding, and they're going to have a really difficult time doing it because there's pieces because of the contracts, you can't just sell them off and trade everybody. Nobody's going to want those deals, and you can only retain on so much. Boy, it looked like 2 different teams playing a different sport last night as the Flyers come away with the win. Good win for the Flyers. Now look, Thursday's game, the second of the home and home. Do you get a really good performance from the Penguins? And that's hockey. And it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, once before the Four Nations break and now once after. We'll see. I don't have a lot of faith that that'll be the case, though, based on the body language of the Penguins and the way that they responded in this game last night. Doesn't bode well for what's remaining on their schedule for the season. Flyers grabbed the 2 points. Really doesn't help them much in the standings. You grab the points, the Penguins don't, and maybe that's one of the teams you're competing with. But when you look at the scoreboard last night, some of the other teams the Flyers are competing with also picked up points. So the Red Wings in the conference leading late in their game. You look at the Sabres getting a win. The Canadians getting a win. Not that those teams are going to be in the mix. Blue Jackets get a win. They continue to trudge along. Rangers get a win. Islanders come up empty because they lose to the Rangers, but you don't make up a whole lot of ground this time of year. It's why the math is very difficult for the Flyers at this point in the season. But really good performance from that Cates line. One of the most important things, and we've talked about this, is how you measure progress in a rebuild. And sometimes you can't measure progress by year-to-year win-losses or the standings. Progress in this stage of a rebuild, to me, is more based on the development of individual players. Guys like Noah Cates, guys like Tyson Forster, guys like Bobby Brink, guys like Jamie Drysdale, I think is really important. Sam Ersson. The development of those players is really important because this is still being evaluated. And we just saw a couple of weeks ago, 2 guys that were being evaluated that were deemed not part of the future. And Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost sent them off to Calgary. Going to get some cap relief as a result. You get a look at Kuzmenko. You get a look at Peltier, who I like Peltier. He's got a good energy. Still need to see a lot more of him to see kind of where he fits as an NHL player. But those are important elements and important data and evaluation metrics to evaluate who's part of this thing going forward. But Bobby Brink has been so impressive to me too. A couple of years ago, when he was still dealing with the hip injury, the way he skated, I just couldn't see it. Being a player that could, develop offense at the NHL level and, be a presence out there, game in and game out with consistency. Got that hip fixed. His skating is so much better. He's got so much more burst. And now you see the creativity in his game that comes along with good chemistry on a line and confidence. He looks like a confident player, not afraid to hang on to the puck to make a play instead of getting rid of it like it's a grenade and it's going to explode on your stick in any second. He looks like a player that really can be a part of this thing going forward, as does Forster and as does Cates. And I've been really impressed with Jamie Drysdale as well. He really, in the second period intermission, Brian Smith did an interview, a walk-off interview with him. He really downplayed his play on that turnover that led to the Tyson Forster goal. It was a great play. Good read in the neutral zone. Gets it going the other way fast. And we see his natural ability, his ability to skate, open up his hits, move laterally. We see all that. And maybe he's a guy that will eventually need to provide a little bit more offense and stats. But the first part of his game, the first part of the development, key development for a young defenseman is learning how to defend at the NHL level. And he's done a really good job of that. He uses his legs to his benefit to put himself in good positions to defend and create offense. That's ultimately what you need out of Jamie Drysdale. Is he going to be an all-world defender and a guy that's a lockdown defender? Probably never. But he's a guy that can be a big piece of this going forward as well on that right side. So really good performance from Drysdale. Impressed with his game last night as well. And Sam Ersson, he gives up the 1 goal, doesn't see a ton of pucks. Sometimes hard for a goalie to really stay mentally engaged in a game. Had to make a really big save in the first period. Came out, made himself big, confident, coming back from 4 Nations, being a part of Team Sweden, then playing in a game and playing as well as he did. Boatloads of confidence you can see in his body language right now and the mental part of his game. Look, since the 28th of December, he's now 11-4-1. He's got, over that time period, going into the game last night, a .916 save percentage, probably around .916, .917, which is 4th in the NHL over that period. He's been really good for the Flyers. And you're talking about a Flyers team that lost 5 of their last 6 going into the 4 Nations break. And he still has a record of 11-4-1 in his last 16 games. Good on Sam Ersson. He's been good for the Flyers. Going to need to get good performances from Fedotov or Kolosov or whoever is the backup and gets the games. John Tortorella said yesterday, Fedotov is still the number 2. He's backing up. We'll see when he gets into a game. I imagine they're going to go with Ersson coming up on Thursday and coming up on Saturday against Winnipeg. Certainly against Winnipeg, one of the best teams in the NHL. And you're battling that guy at the other end of the ice, Connor Hellebuck, who he battled when Team USA took on Sweden as well. So he won't be daunted by that. That's good news. So good win for the Flyers. We'll see if they can sweep the home and home coming up Thursday in Pittsburgh. All right, let's get to our feature conversation. We featured Scott Lawton yesterday from the Flyers Carnival. Also had a chance to catch up virtually with Ryan Poehling. Now, he was obviously out with that concussion after that pretty hideous hit that he took to the head, which resulted in a suspension a little while back against the Islanders. And coming back from a head injury can be tricky sometimes for players because you have good days, you have bad days when you're coming back from a leg injury. You don't see it on a X-ray or an MRI or anything like that. And it can be tricky for a player to come back from a concussion. So we talked to Ryan Poehling about his season, being in Philadelphia, having some roots down, the camaraderie in the Flyers locker room, and much more. Here's my conversation with Flyers forward Ryan Poehling. It is a brand new edition, special edition of Flyers Daily. We're going to be featuring Flyers players and staff this week from the 46th annual Flyers Wise Carnival, which is taking place as we speak or as we're taping. And we welcome back on a couple of different stages. One from the IR, one from Four Nations break. It is Flyers forward Ryan Poehling. Pales, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. You've been now to one of these carnivals before. Maybe this is even two. How's the expectation change year to year?
Yeah, no, I think it's a ton of fun. It's nice to just hang out with the guys beforehand and then also just see the fans and give back to them what they give us throughout the year. So I think it's a great thing that the Wives put on, and they do a great job of doing it. So last year was my first one, and I had a great time doing it. So
last year, you guys, I think, came off a rough defeat. This time, you're coming off a very good win over Edmonton. First game back from the Four Nations break. That definitely helps. But from a hockey standpoint, getting back at it again after the break and getting a win is paramount for this final, I guess, third of the season.
Yeah, 100%. Especially for us, where we sit in the standings. I think we can't take any games for granted, and yeah, it's good. So I think it was a good win too in terms of how we played. We kind of set the standard for ourselves, showing us that, hey, we can be that team that we believe in. So I think all things were great there. We just got to keep building on it.
Pals, that started from the crease out, defending and then getting out in transition after breaking up plays, because you guys did a ton of that in the game.
100%. Yeah, I think that's what we emphasize, especially a team like that. They're so good offensively with the puck. So for us to just kind of bottle up the middle and inside and make them work for their offense is something that you need to do against that team with such high talent. And I think we did a great job of that for the full 60 last night.
How frustrating was it for you when you were out after taking the concussion and that hit a while back? You're out for a good stretch of time before the Four Nations break, and then maybe Four Nations gives you a little bit of more of a buffer to make sure you're right when you do get back. How frustrating was it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. I think the hardest thing with concussions is it's not linear in terms of progress. So some days you feel good, and then the next day you feel like you're back at square one. So I think getting out of your own head is the biggest part of it. Like I said, it's not like a broken bone where you're like, oh, I know I'll be back in 4 weeks or 5 weeks. It's not linear. So for me to just kind of be around the guys as much as can, and kind of get away from hockey in terms of being happy, I think that was a big thing. And just learning how to cope with that is something that you kind of learn throughout the day. So I'm just glad that I'm healthy and back playing with the guys.
How do you do that as a pro athlete to maintain happiness when maybe performance or injury or whatever prevents you from playing? You can't tie your overall spiritual happiness to the hockey player. You gotta do that to the person. How hard is that to do?
It's tough. I think it comes with age too. I remember even in this league as a young guy, like getting scratched or being hurt, it was really tough on me because you don't realize how much hockey we play and how much hockey we consume. So once you're out, it feels like you have nothing. I mean, you go to the work, you go to the rink, do what you can, and then you're home by 11 or 12, and you have the rest of the day knowing that you don't have a game or anything to look forward to. So I think I've done a good job of that, just learning how to cope with it through the years. So I think you have to have other hobbies that you enjoy doing, and I do a good job of kind of finding out those things and just being happy with that.
And couples that you feel alienated a little bit because you're not with the main group, and there's almost that attachment, which, as we know in hockey and in all team sport, the camaraderie and bond of the room is the thing you'll miss initially and the most when it is all done.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the hardest part is being away from the guys. And, it's like I said, like I try to as much as I can be around them, but, they're going on road trips without you, this and that. So that's definitely something that you miss. And I think in perspective, you take it for granted sometimes. So I think taking a step back and realizing how much they mean to you, it makes you even more appreciative when you get to come back to them.
Yeah, no question about it. Let me ask you about being in Philadelphia. You got that commitment last year, you got the contract. And I remember you and I talked at the time, said, well, you're putting some roots down. You're going to get some stability.
Yeah.
What has that stability meant to you? I know it meant a lot to you through the summer heading in and then throughout this season having that stability?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think it just lets you focus on yourself and the team and what really matters. So for myself, I've enjoyed it here. I've had a ton of fun, and I appreciate the staff, the organization, and most importantly, my teammates. So yeah, it's something that I've been excited about and blessed with, and I don't know, I love it here in Philadelphia. That's really all I can say.
Obviously, there are a couple of guys that you were tight with were traded, and Joe Farabee and Morgan Frost. What's that process, though, like welcoming in the new guys, welcoming in Kuzmenko and Jacob Pelletier?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a weird thing for sports where two of your best friends are traded, but then at the same time, you're getting two new guys that you need to make feel part of the team. So it's one of those things that sucks to part of our business, but I think that's where Philadelphia is great, is people realize within, like, I remember coming here for my first year, it took maybe a week or two, and I felt like I was part of the team already. And I think all the guys, it starts from the top, do a great job of doing that. And I think if you ask Kuzi or Peltz that, I think they'd say the same thing. So they're both great guys, and we're happy to have them.
Yeah, because you can't perform at that level if you're worried about other kind of stuff.
Exactly.
It's not possible to perform at that elite level. You'll be at the carnival today with all the fans and things moving in the right direction. Do you guys feel that as players too, organizationally? You came in here because there was opportunity for you to get a regular role and really kind of show what you can do, being that big pivot up the middle, kill penalties and do all that stuff, but chip in the goals from time to time as well. Opportunity is here maybe for some of the younger guys still, but it's kind of a turning point in this whole process. Do you guys feel that as players?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we have trust in the process, and then also trust in the group that the team has put together. So, I mean, like I said, I think our biggest strength is numbers and how we compete for one another. And I think that, like I said, we do a great job of just being there for one another. And yeah, in hockey, I think it's one of the biggest things is you have to have that belief that you can and do and want to win. So we do a great job of that, and I think it's fun to just go out there every night and compete with one another because of how close we are.
Pales, it's great to see you back on the ice. I really appreciate you doing this. Enjoy the day today, and we'll see you Tuesday coming up against the Penguins.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks to Ryan Poehling for taking the time to join us on this episode of Flyers Daily. Flyers will be back in action Thursday in Pittsburgh. Flyers, a couple of 6-goal games since returning from Four Nations. They have found the offense, but they're also defending pretty darn well as well, which is why you get the result of a 6-3 and 6-1 win. We'll see what they can do coming up tomorrow night. We'll preview Thursday night. We'll preview Flyers Pens tomorrow and much more. So join us then on a brand new Flyers Daily.